Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Loyani, and in the previous video we explored computed signals and how they help us model derived state. So far we have covered writable signals for state and computer signals for derived values. In this video we'll complete the picture by introducing effects. So by the end of this video you'll understand what effects are, when to use effects and when not to, how effects differ from computed signals, and how to use effects safely in Angular components. Effects are powerful, but they also should be used intentionally. So far, our signals have been focused on state and values. But in real applications, we often have to react to state changes. Some examples include logging when a value changes, triggering analytics, calling an imperative API. So these are side effects, things that go beyond calculating a value. And this is exactly the reason why effects exist. So an effect is a function that runs whenever one of the signals it reads changes. It is used for side effects, not for deriving values, and does not return a value. And we don't call an effect manually. Angular will run it automatically when its dependencies change. Let's start with a simple example. In the last video, we added a console log to check when the double count was being updated. So let's create an effect to log whenever the count is changing. So I'm going to declare a count log, which is an effect, and we also need to import. This effect is also being imported from the @angular/core package. And inside this effect, I'm just going to pass this function. And here, since we're not returning anything, I'm just going to open and close curly brackets and add my console log. Count changed, and here we'll pass the count effect, but we're going to read its value. And this count log we can declare as private because we're not going to make any reference in the template itself. And since this is not being reassigned, we can also make it read only because we're never changing it. I already have npm run start running in the background. So I'm going to save this and let's go to the browser to see how it's behaving. We're going to open the developer tools. Let me refresh just to make sure. And the first console log that we have is count changed to 0 because this page has been refreshed. Now, if we click on the plus button, it now has changed to 1, to 2, to 3, back to 2, and then if we reset, back to 0. Every time the count signal changes, this effect is running as well. Angular is automatically tracking the dependency on count. So what will be the difference between an effect and a computed signal? A computed signal represents derived state. It returns a value. In the last video, we added our console log and we had to return this value right here. And computed signals should be pure and side effect free. That's why we have removed that console log from our computed signal. Effects, on the other hand, it reacts to state changes, performs side effects, and do not return values. If you find yourself trying to calculate something inside an effect, it's probably a computed signal instead. Some of the common use case for effects is logging and debugging. So you can add a count log temporarily just for debugging purposes. You can also persist to local storage, for example, integrating with third-party libraries. Another example that I also have written an effect, and for me this has been one of the most out-of-the-box use cases of effects that I have used up to date. I have created a ChatGPT clone in this repo, and whenever we are typing our messages or we are receiving the response from the AI, we have to update our message, our chat box. And if our prompt is too big or the response that we are receiving from the AI is too big, we should be scrolling to the bottom of the page. So for this reason, I have created this sync and scroll effect where I get all the messages that are being received from the resource. I'm setting those messages and then just scrolling to the bottom. The scroll to the bottom is a function that's void, doesn't return any value, that all it's going to do is just get the height of the native element, and it's just going to scroll the top. So anytime that you need to call other functions within your component based on a value that has changed, you can also use an effect, not necessarily for logging and debugging. However, it's also important to mention that effects are not meant to replace business logic, computed values, or state modeling. Think of effects as a bridge between reactive state and the outside world. There are also a few things that we need to be cautious about. Do not update signals inside effects unless you really know what you're doing. Avoid complex logic inside effects as well, because again, this is supposed to be easy to read. And do not use effects to render anything on the template. Misusing effects can also lead to hard to debug behavior, infinite loops, and also unclear data flow. So just keep them small and focused. Effects are also tied to the component lifecycle. That means that when the component is destroyed, Angular also automatically cleans up the effect. You don't need to manually unsubscribe like we used to do with RxJS. This makes effects safer and easier to manage for local component behavior as well. So far, we have covered writable signals, computed signals, and effects. We have now the full signals mental model. In the next video, we're going to start applying all this knowledge to real features in our sample project. If you're enjoying this course or if you have any feedback, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.